Well, hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Ames's Corner. So, what I got today is I got an 03 BMW 525i with only 130,000 miles. So, this is the kind of car that someone ran synthetic oil in, trying to make their car last longer. And I think this is a perfect example of why when you own one of these cars like a BMW or some of the Mercedes, there should be a time where you switch over to conventional oil. Now, I'm not going to get into the reasons on this video because we got to seal up some brittle gaskets. Kind of a common thing that seems to go wrong on these BMWs lately is the oil filter housing has a seal on it that, let me shut everything down. The oil filter housings have a seal on them that the synthetic oil seems to attack this seal. It seems to attack all the rubber seals in these engines, and like I said, I'm not going to get into when you should stop using synthetic oil or the differences and why one's better or one's worse for a given application or a given mileage. Door shut. There we go. So I'll let another YouTuber who I think did an excellent job covering it, Eric the Car Guy. So I'll put a little link. Maybe I'll put a link right here. And I'll put a link in the description to Eric the Car Guy's synthetic versus conventional oil video. Thanks a lot, Eric. So yeah, the oil filter housings, they're right on the front of the motor, and I got to pull a little bit apart to get to it to change the seal. It's probably something somebody could do, shade tree mechanic style. There's really nothing that needs any special tools or anything. So yeah, let me get this thing in and get it up on the lift. I got some other stuff to do to it. Sway bar link, got a SERP belt. I'm also doing the valve cover. So I'll have this thing pretty pulled apart in a little bit. But we'll show you those leaks. This thing leaks a lot. I guess probably I'd have to say a quart of oil a week, which is pretty messy. And it's not the first one of these I've had to seal up for the same problem. And I really think it's the synthetic oil. There's a point where a car just shouldn't have it anymore. So I'm gonna get this thing up in the air and guys, I got this on the lift. I'll show you what we're dealing with here. This is the oil filter housing, and this has some seals to the cylinder head that let the pressurized oil come up into the filter to be filtered and brought through the rest of the lubrication system. And that's the seal. You can't really see it. Now, from all intents and purposes, up here it doesn't look like a bad engine. I mean, when you pop the hood and you look, it's like, oh, I don't see too much going on. You come over here and you kind of see a little bit of oil. Some burnt oil on that oxygen sensor there, and you see some dripping coming from the valve cover. That's what we got over here. We got this is the oil filter housing seal that leaks, multi-chambers. Doesn't take much to blow that out. And then we got some spark plug tube seals and a valve cover gasket. Also got some belts, a sway bar link, some wiper blades, and a halo bulb. But it's now, for all intents and purposes, everything looks clean. The complaint usually, and with this car, was that it smells like burning oil and it's leaving stains on the driveway, everywhere they park it. Now, I've only had this in here a few minutes, and you can see all the little driplets. Now, let me remind you, this car only has 130,000 miles. Now, I've already gone under and I took that under shield off, just so I'd have to do that on camera. But look at all that oil already. Look at Look at all the oil. That's the under pan. And yeah, look at this thing. Look at all that oil. That's all oil, all the way down. Look at the tranny pan, just ruined with oil, just ruined. Look at that resonator. It's just it's amazing. I mean, let me remind you, this is a 130,000 mile car, just soaking itself with oil. And this stuff, you know, this stuff is all these plastic. Everything's made out of this plastic. You can see it already starting to bow and warp from the oil, degrading it. Everywhere where there's rubber, all these bushings are now degraded with oil. You know, so they're gonna wear out sooner than they were designed to. But you see it all. The river. There's a river coming up. And that little river goes right to the oil filter housing, and then over here, this side's up to the valve cover. You see it if you look way up. You can get you way up in there. Yeah, see all the oil leaking up in there. Yeah. So I gotta, you know, pull that front of this motor down, tear it down, and clean much of this up as I can. But what a mess! What a mess! You know, if you watch that Eric the Car Guy video, he'll tell you that synthetic oil, if you have a leak, synthetic oil will leak out at worse. So, anyways, guys, I got a lot of work ahead of me. So let me pull this apart, and we'll get some of these parts changed, and I'll show you what it takes to do some upper engine work on this Beamer here. So I'll see you in a second. All right, guys, I got this pretty broken down. Get the valve cover off. See all the valve train, upper valve train, timing chains. A lot of sludge for a car that's run synthetic oil, and how clean a car that runs synthetic oil for 120-something thousand, 130,000 miles. There's a little bit of sludge here and there, you know. Makes you wonder if you really get what you pay for with the synthetic. Honestly, I don't think so. Still got to dig. This is that housing. You can see it's all oil all around it, all down there. You know, just pouring oil. But it's also the bracket for the alternator and the power steering pump, so all that has to come apart. But I'm gonna get that valve cover on. I don't like to leave it apart like that, but you can actually see what happens with these. Look at how brittle this. Look at that. That's supposed to be this. Nice and supple. And it's not. It's, you know, this is a factory gasket. It just breaks. This is all parts of it just break apart. You know, just crumbles. Isn't that awesome? Also, same thing. This is an external vacuum line. This is the vacuum line for the secondary air injection valve here. This pumps oxygen from a special air pump down here in the fender well into the exhaust to get the cat converters burning and doing what they do sooner, kind of like blowing on a fire. But the vacuum line wasn't necessarily in oil, and just like that other stuff was, and get a grip on it. It's just, you know, brittle. This is supposed to be supple, and some spots of it are supple, but most of it just breaks apart. You know, I can't really get a grip on it with the gloves, but, you know, same thing. You know, and this stuff's going to be a blast to get all out. I got to get all of this out. I can't let any of this get into the pickup screen, because this will clog a pickup screen like we were worried about with that Volvo a couple weeks ago, which that Volvo seems to be all right. So, yeah, 130,000 miles. And people use synthetic oil to keep all of these mechanical parts working fine, and it does good at that, but it ruins all this plastic. What honestly is the point of having a block, a cylinder, an engine, and a block that will do 500,000 miles if everything else that oil touches is going to disintegrate at 130? What's the point? What's the point of spending all that extra money just to kill everything else in the name of what? Of saving mechanical components from wearing out, which isn't a problem with new cars. A lot of newer cars, the piston rings will never wear out, the crank bearings will never wear out. But you get all this plastic in here, you get all this rubber that synthetic oil just destroys it. So anyway, let me get this side broken down. I'll probably put that new cover on, get that cover on, just so nothing has the chance to fall in there. And then I'll keep taking this more apart. You know, we had the air box, all that stuff over there, down there. So yeah, let me keep digging, and I'll see you in a second. I've got this pretty well broken down. Here's that oil filter housing removed from the vehicle, and we can see. Here's that seal I showed you. Here's where it was leaking out the bottom. You can see all this residual oil where it was filling this up. Oh, it sounds like a tight bolt, huh? So we got it all apart. You can see where these leak all the time, right down into here and fill up this area. This is why we got all that subframe wet. You know, we have most of it over here on the valve cover, but we got it. And you can see all the sludge is all off down here, and there's sludge all around it. That's how we know it was leaking out of there more than anything else. So another weird thing we found out in here is the alternator has its own air intake, and it looks like 10 years of leaves packed into the alternator. You know, I took a couple handfuls out, and you can see broken leaves. So you never really know what you're going to find in these cars. Doesn't look like a mouse nest, just looks like there's no screen to stop that. So I'll get to clean all that out. Let me clean all this up and get this together, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, I got this thing all back together. There were really no surprises, you know, just reverse order from the way it came apart. I did a little bit of cleaning, cleaned it up a little bit, but there's just so much oil in everything. This thing's still going to continue to drip a little. But let's see if it starts up and leaks anything. Starts right up. Don't see any check engine light on. That's a good sign. Yeah. And there it is. I don't see any big puddles forming under here. So yeah, awesome. And that you see that how much oil was leaking out of that oil filter housing where it goes on the block and that valve cover. You just see how hard these gaskets get when you use this synthetic oil. Here's this was the gasket to the actual housing, and it's, if you look back in the beginning of this video, you'll see that new gasket was all pliable and supple, and this thing's just like a hard piece of plastic. And these are what was supposed to hold all the oil pressure that the engine makes. You know, that's not supple. That's not good. That's not good. So yeah. So we kept this one out of the cabbage. Looks like I still got a halo light to replace. So yeah, we kept this one out of the cabbage. So until next time, guys, you guys keep it out of the cabbage too.